Heights, Ohio. And redshirt senior defensive lineman Owen Porter of Huntington, West Virginia. We'll begin with opening remarks from Coach Huff. Then we'll take questions for Coach and from the student athletes.
Thank you. Good morning. Obviously, thank you, all the media here, radio networks, broadcasting. We thank you for what you do for not only our program but for the Sun Belt Conference. So we appreciate you guys make this event go and you make it what it is. So we appreciate you guys being here. To the Sun Belt Conference staff, thank you guys for putting on an unbelievable event. This is really good for our players, our brand, all the schools in the conference. We really appreciate you guys, Keith, and your staff for all that you do to continue to elevate this event. We appreciate that. To all the other players and coaches here, this is the official 2023 kickoff season. This really gets us going. So we appreciate what you guys do. We appreciate being in this conference and being able to represent Marshall in a phenomenal conference. You look back over what the Sun Belt Conference has achieved, especially last year. I make the argument that we are the premier Group of Five conference. Obviously, there's some other schools out there and other conferences that are doing a phenomenal job. But right now, the Sun Belt has really separated themselves with their consistency on and off the field. So we appreciate that. This season, excited, as everyone is going to be. It's talking season. We're excited. We really feel like we have an opportunity to do some successful things with our program. We're still trying to close the gap. We're making a huge step right now going from consistently relevant to consistently successful. Marshall has been consistently relevant for a long time. Our brand is very strong. Recruiting, going into homes, talking to schools and families. People know the Marshall brand. We've had some really relevant moments all the way back to the Randy Moss and the Chad Pennington and the national championships, back to last year beating Notre Dame on the road. What we've got to do now is we've got to close the gap and be consistently successful. And I think we have the opportunity to do that. I think we have the players. We've had a phenomenal summer. Two young men that are with me today, along with a lot of other leaders back at home, have done a great job. We're excited. This is a new team. The 2023 team has got to create their own identity this year. They've started in phase 1, 2, and 3 doing a really good job. Our physical numbers are up with our strength coach, Ben Ashford. Our attendance, we've had 100% attendance at every summer workout, and you think that's, you should have that, right? We're not just talking about physically being present. Kobe Bryant said it's not how many hours you practice, it's how many hours you are mentally present. And we have been mentally present 100% of the time. The players have done a great job. Obviously, building this team is going to be interesting. We got 40 new players, 25 portal guys, 5 JC guys, and then 10 high school guys. So we're a brand new team. Obviously, a lot of the players that are back continue to be the culture and the leadership that we need, but we're a brand new team. So we've got to go out and establish who we're going to be as a 2023 team. 2 new coaches, Jason Seymour, our defensive coordinator, and Derek Shea, our tight end coach, who came over from Missouri and Georgia Tech, respectively. So we're excited. We've got an opportunity to do something really special this year. The 2 young men I have with me, Owen Porter, a local kid from West Virginia that embodies everything about Marshall and how you should play the game. He practices every day with unbelievable effort and intensity and competitive spirit. He's a leader. He is the nuts and bolts of what we do from a culture standpoint and who we are. And then Cam Fancher. Cam has probably had the biggest growth from obviously where he started last year to where he is now. There's 2 people in the football program that carry records, the head coach and the starting quarterback. And Cam ended the season last year at 6-1, has done a phenomenal job. I think these 2 young men represent our team back home, not only by the positions they play, but how they act on and off the field. We've got a lot of young men that we could have brought, but obviously these 2 young men have done a phenomenal job for us, and we're looking forward to them having great seasons. So with that, I'll open it up with questions from the audience.
We'll now take questions for Coach Huff and the student athletes. For those of you who are in the room, if you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for a microphone to come to you. Since we are going out live, please state your name and media affiliation before you ask your question. For those on Zoom, please type your questions into the chat, and I will read them aloud.
Hey, Craig Stevenson, AL.com. Coach, you mentioned you think the Sun Belt is the premier G5 conference. You've coached, I think, in 3 of those leagues in your career. What makes you say that? What's your reason for that?
Yeah, I think, one, the leadership. Anything that's good usually has good leadership at the top. I think we have really strong leadership. 2, I think the competitive balance from top to bottom. I've been in 3 of the best conferences in the world. I've been in the AFC East, I've been in the SEC, and I've been in the Big Ten. And the thing that makes those conferences strong or competitive is every team, top to bottom, is in a very competitive, close-knit range. It's not like, you got one team up here that's just totally dominating, and then you got a team that's rebuilding or whatever. The top-to-bottom competitiveness in the Sun Belt, to me, is what makes it, one of the premier top 25 or premier group of 5 leagues. And then again, I think the fan base has a lot to do with that. The fan base, the support, the passion, the traditions, the logos, the brands. I think you put all those things together, I think that's what makes us special.
Luke Creasy, Herald Dispatch in Huntington. The guys probably think I've got all my questions out already after talking to him earlier. But Owen and Cam, 2 of the quieter leaders on this team as far as letting the performance speak for itself. What does it mean for you guys to be able to represent the university on this stage and give that message out there?
Yeah, it's really nice. We're really thankful for it. Definitely not a super talkative guy between either one of us, but we are very thankful for the experience, and we've had a good time so far.
It's definitely a blessing being in this at this event right now. I've never been to something like this, so I'm just soaking it all in, and very thankful to represent Marshall in the way I am, and it's definitely been a blessing to be here.
Coach Huff, Emmanuel Pepper, Sun Belt Conference. Everybody turns the page at some point from last season, but you guys ended last year on a 5-game winning streak. How important was that in kind of generating momentum for the coaching staff and for the returners going into the offseason program?
Really good, because they were probably going to run me out of Huntington. The beauty of it is, we showed that when we start really putting all 3 phases together, right, how we prepare, how hard we play, and how consistently we execute, what we can really do. And I think what happened in that stretch is we went through the ebbs and the flows. We grew. We made changes. There were times where physically we had to make some adjustments. Schematically, we had to make some adjustments. And I think confidence comes from experience. And I think that helps us, that helps our players build the experience and confidence that we need to move forward. The beauty of it is we don't get to carry any of that moving forward, so then we got to start all over. So we got to go back to the basics. We got to go back to the fundamentals, to our process, how we do things in order for us to have continued success in 23.
Got a Zoom question from Jonathan Hooker of Southern Pigskin, and this is for Cam. Being the guy behind center now, what is your mindset and your expectations for this year for your offense?
My mindset every week is just take it one day at a time, and by the end of the week, be 1-0 by the end of every week. And my expectation is I'm excited. I'm expecting a lot of good things from the offense with the deep receiver room, deep running back room, deep O-line room. I just feel like we got the depth everywhere and all the pieces around, and we've just been working on the chemistry on and off the field, building those relationships with those guys. And so I'm just expecting a lot of good things this year.
And a Zoom question for Owen from Paul Swan of WRVC AM in Huntington. Owen, from a veteran player perspective, how far has Cam grown as a leader and a teammate?
Significantly. Last year it was like pulling teeth just to get the kid to talk to us. So now he's come a very long way in just a short period of time. He really speaks out now, especially whenever we need him to in team runs, team lifts. When something goes wrong, he now is a guy we get to turn to, and it helps me a lot because I'm not around those guys on that side of the ball. So to have somebody that's on that side, your quarterback's always going to be somebody that everybody's looking up to, and now he's got a voice in his own, and he's built his own confidence through the end of last season. So it helps a lot.
Also got a Zoom question, Coach, and this is for you and also for Cam and Owen. What did that win over Notre Dame do for your team's confidence last year?
Yeah, I really think we were always a confident team because of how we work. What it really showed us was the process does work when you work the process. And it doesn't matter what the team is or who the opponent is. If you do the things you need to do all week, you have a chance to be successful on Saturday. And then if you go out and execute consistently, you can beat anybody in the country. Now, am I saying that that's every week, you're going to go out and beat that top team in the country? No, but if every week you prepare your tail off, you play really hard, and you consistently execute, you're going to be a hard team to beat. And I think that just shows that our process does work. Regardless of the logo, regardless of the opponent, the process works.
Cam and Owen?
Just what he said, it showed that if you stick true to the process and buy into what Coach Huff's vision is, that it will work. We play to the standard, not to an opponent each week. So just playing to that standard shows that it can work.
Personally, for my side of the ball, I feel like we were already a very confident defense, but to go out there and play against one of the premier teams in college football, somebody with so much history, it's a team that's very hyped up. I think they played Ohio State just the week before and lost by less than 10. So for our defense to go out there and play so well, it really helped push our confidence for the guys that maybe were kind of on the fence. It helped us become the defense that we turned out to be at the end of the season. Extremely confident in ourselves, hard-nosed defense who we didn't care who we went out there and played against. We were going to give everything we had.
This is for Cam. Just talking about your development last year and your confidence as the season went along, what are some things that, when you kind of look back at last season, that you were really happy with your development, and what are some of the things that you focused on this offseason to try to take it an even step further?
Well, last year, I really just stuck true to the process. I didn't really change how I prepared from being a backup compared to a starter. I stayed true to how I prepared, and with the film study with Coach Huff, Coach Turkett, I give all the thanks to them because without them, I wouldn't be in the position I am right now. But the growth throughout the year just came from the reps. Each play, slowing down each series, each game, each week. So once that starts to happen, you start to realize different aspects of the game, like managing the game, getting you out of looks that you wouldn't necessarily run into, and just controlling the game more. So that was really it.
We got a question for Coach, and I guess also for Owen, since you're a part of this. Your defense ranked 8th nationally last year, but you have some holes to fill this year up front and in the secondary. How do you assess that team from what you saw in the spring?
Yeah, I think obviously last year our defense was really good. I think the beauty of our defense was it wasn't necessarily one level. We had leadership on all three levels. We had consistency on all three levels. So when you talk about replacing, you're not trying to replace a certain player because that's hard to do. What you're trying to replace is the leadership and consistency on all three levels. So we're trying to get the D linemen that we have in the spring, plus the guys that got here in the summer, to play on a certain standard. The linebackers that we have, I think, will be one of the deeper linebacker units that we've had at Marshall for a long time, to get them to play at a certain standard. The back-end guys, to get those guys to play at a certain standard. So whoever goes in the game, maybe your talent level isn't as high as a senior or a junior, but how you play the game and how you prepare allows us to have holistic consistency, which will make our defense really, really good.
Owen, what about that?
Personally, yeah, we did lose quite a few guys that we had last year, but our culture speaks for itself. It's the guys that we bring in, especially from our own room. We take those guys under our wing and we show them exactly how, we go through each day and each week. We are extremely hardworking defense, and we take great pride in being a top 10 defense in the country. I've been here 5 years, and all 5 years at Marshall, we pride ourselves on being a great defensive team, and that's no different than this year. We're going to do the same thing.
This is for Owen. Cam mentioned about the depth on the offensive side of the ball. From your perspective, going up against them in practices and throughout the offseason, what kind of challenges do they present in obviously getting you guys ready, especially when you talk about just filling in new pieces to the defense this year?
Yeah, I feel like coaches have done a great job this year on filling in, so we have a greater depth, especially at the offensive line. Those are guys I get to go against consistently. It's nice because even if I have to go out there with the 2s or the 3s, it's not a big step back. I still get to feel almost what it feels like for a game rep. It's no different between whether I'm going against our starting left tackle or our third-string left tackle. So it's very nice. Same thing in the running back room. Those guys do a great job. Between Ali, Smoke, and Ethan Payne, I personally think they could start at a lot of different schools at a Division I, and they are all in our single running back room. So we have a very good amount of depth on the offensive side of the ball for sure.
Any other questions in the room? I have to ask one. Owen, is there a story behind the headwear?
There's multiple stories.
There are
behind that.
multiple stories behind the headwear, but personally, I grew up in a little town outside of Huntington. It's called Lavalette. Families raised cows and pigs and everything else since I was young, and I was riding around on the tractor with my grandparents and running around barefoot with a cowboy hat on and no shirt. So that's just how I am. That's just where it came from. That's all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck to you this season.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate all you do. Good luck to all the other coaches that are here. Thank you, media, again. Thank you, Sunbelt administration and leaders. We look forward to a phenomenal season, and go Hurt.
We'll continue at 11 a.m. with the Monarchs.